Well, in the previous lectures, I mentioned that I'll be creating a program, an application where we'll be handling a sort of bank account. So that we'll have a balance, and then we'll be applying some operations such as withdraw money from this bank account object and deposit money as well. And we'll be storing the value, so the balance, in a simple text file. So that's not one of the 10 programs we're building in the course. This is just to get you familiar with classes and to explain them a little bit more. So I'll do some housekeeping here. So let me create a folder here and put all these existing files in this folder. So we have the previous files in here, and I'll create a new folder now. Let's call this account, and in this folder I'll have my Python script. So let's call it like this. So under account we have this Python file, and we also need this text file where we'll be saving the current balance of our bank account. So this will be a trivial application, because in real life you don't want to save the bank account information, the balance, in a text file. In real life you do want to save that in a real database, such as PostgreSQL, for instance. But for the sake of practicing object-oriented programming, we will just save the balance value in this file. So this is our storage. And also, for the sake of simplicity, we'll be working only on one single account. So our program will be able to process one account object. Because if you have multiple accounts, then the solution could be different from this. So you'd probably have to think about having a table, and maybe a database would be necessary here. So let's think about our personal account. You could use this program for your personal notes, so you may want to keep track of your balance, and you can use this Python program. And now, the object here is the bank account. And now this object, we should start thinking about what attributes this bank account object should have as an initial state. So we talked about this minimal object. And a bank account would have, of course, an initial balance. So let's start to create this account object and call it account. You can call it whatever you want, but I'll call it account. So init is the first function we want to define, and we pass self in there. And yeah, let's keep it like that for a moment. And we said our bank account object will have a balance attribute. And in our case, we have this balance.txt, and let's create an initial value there. And now, to create an object instance, we need to grab this value and pass it to our init function, so that we construct this minimal object. And because we have a file, what we need to do is we need to read this number from this file. And naturally, what you'd want to pass here is some parameter like file path. So this is how I'm going to call that. And now, if you remember, in the bookstore application, in the backend script, here we also pass a parameter to the init function. And then we created a connection object out of this database file. In this particular case, what we want to create is an integer, so a number out of this file, out of this file path. So you could do something like with open, so we're doing file handling with the with method, with open file path, and this is a text file, so we need to go with R mode, which means to read. So we're opening the file path, this file in read mode as a file. So this is just a temporary variable that exists in this with statement. And then we need to read from this file. So something like file.read. Yeah, that's it. This will read the file, but you're not storing that anywhere. So what you want to do is say self and balance equals to file.read. So what that will do, it will save the value inside the text file in this instance variable. So this is an instance variable. That is how it's called. Actually, this is the instance variable and this is the object. So the account object. Good, and this is almost good. And we also need to add the integer function there, because this will be read as a string by default, so we need to convert that value to an integer. And yeah, that should work, and that should construct the object for us, the account object, with a balance attached to it. And before going and creating the like a withdraw method here and then a deposit method, I'll prefer to call an instance of this class first. So I'll do that here. Let's say store that in the account variable. So this will be the object that will be created out of this blueprint, the account blueprint. And there you need to pass this argument, the argument for this parameter, which is balance.txt. Great. And for self, Python will automatically pass the account object instance. Good. Now this will create an object instance, and let me print out that object here. So we see some output in action. Python, and that's inside the account folder, and ack.py. We got an error, no such file or directory for balance.txt, and the reason to that is that we need to pass the account directory there as well. So, and yeah, this time it's working. So we had to pass the directory there because we are in this folder, in the demo folder, and you need to pass the account folder first and then point to the balance.txt. And this is the output. So it says main.account object. So the account object of the main module. And what main is when you execute a script like we did here, so you point to the script with Python, Python will assign this name to the module. So this module will get this name. And the script actually, but it's treated as a module. But if you import that module, so if I ran, I open an interactive shell now. So from the account folder, import ack. What happens is that you get the print function executed as well. But this time when you import a file, so when you don't execute it like we did previously with Python account ack.py, when you import the module gets the name of the script that it is written to. So in this case it's ack without the extension. And here you also get the name of the package of the module. So packages are made of modules. And a package is like a folder, and there you have several modules or one module, like we have in this case. And our package here is account, so account, and then it has this module, and then this module has this class, the account class. So that was something I wanted to show you, packages, modules, and classes. Great, now I'll exit this Python shell and play around with this script a little bit. And what we did here, we printed out the object namespace, and we didn't get the actual balance as an output because we are not returning the balance here. But if you want to get a balance, you'd want to point to the balance and that uses a dot notation to point to the object that holds the balance attribute. So let's see what we get this time. And yeah, 1000. So that's the current balance. As you can see, you are able to access attributes of your object instance using the dot notation. Good. Now let's add these other methods there. And what can we do to a bank account? Well, we can withdraw money. And you always need to pass self in all of your methods, and then the parameter that applies to that particular method. In this case, when you withdraw some money, well, you have an amount in mind that you want to withdraw, so you pass amount there as a parameter. Now, just to be clear that you understand what I'm doing, here is I have an initial balance that is being read from this file, so for this text file, and then I want to allow the user to apply operations, so withdraw money from this balance. And once the user executes the withdraw method, I want to update the balance number inside the object instance. And I don't want yet to write that balance to my balance file. So I just want to calculate something here, like self balance equals to self balance. Well, this is a withdraw, so minus the amount that I want to withdraw. That means this will do self balance equals to 1000 minus 100, let's say, and I'll end up with an updated balance of 900 in this case. And then if I want, I can go ahead and open that file again here, and then write this updated balance in that file. So that would be one solution, but a more constructive solution would probably be to have a specific method that commits the changes to the file. So you may want to withdraw some money, and then you deposit some money inside the same session, and then you apply the commit method to save the changes. So this is the solution I want to go for. And yeah, we are done with the withdraw method. Now deposit self and amount again. So this is a local variable, this is a local variable. They happen to have the same name, but they don't have to do much with each other. And self balance equals to self balance plus the amount in this case. So let's see what we have this for. And I'll keep this instance object here that is being generated. So we are instantiating an object instance, in other words, and print out the current balance. And then I want to withdraw some money from my account object. That means I apply withdraw to the account object, and withdraw takes two arguments. So the object instance, which is passed automatically, and then the amount, which could be 100. And once I do that, I want to print out the updated balance. So let's see what it's gonna do. Yeah, 1000. So an object instance is created, and you get 1000 printed out, because here you have 1000, and then you take 100 out of that, and so you end up with 900. Great. So if you run that again, you will notice that a new object instance is being created again. So you don't have 900 as the current balance anymore, you have 1000. So that means you need to write the changes to the file if you wanted to save those that balance. And we can do that using a method, and let's call it commit, and pass self there. And I don't think of any parameter that I need to pass to this commit method, because we will work with are the existing variables there. So this would be something like with open, Well, we need to open the file path. But we have a small problem in here, because the file path variable now is just a local variable in this init method. So if we pass it here, this function, this method, we will not recognize it. So this is a bit different from the other, the backend script that we wrote, because here we had this parameter like we do in here. But in this case, this parameter, it was only used inside the init method, so we didn't use it anywhere else. So there is a solution to that. One solution would be to go ahead and pass another, let's call this path here, so another parameter to the commit method. Then when we call the commit method like we were doing with withdraw, we'd have to pass the balance.txt, actually this path, to the commit method. While that would work, it's still not the best practice of object-oriented paradigm. So we need to seek for another solution. And that would be to make this local variable an instance variable. And to do that, you'd do something like self and file path equals to file path. And what this does is, so file path, don't confuse this with this. This happens to be the same, but you can also write another thing here, like anything. So this is the parameter of the init function. So the balance.txt will go to this parameter. So the path of this file will go to this parameter, and then you create this instance variable, and that instance variable will be equal to this path. But you can use this thing here, you can use it wherever you like inside your class, and in our case we would like to use it in here. So we open the self.file path in the right method this time, because this time we need to write, or to overwrite, in more accurately, to overwrite the current balance, which should be this one, for example. We want to overwrite that to this file. So as file, this is just a temporary variable file, and file.write and self.balance. Good, let's try this out. And we didn't get any update in the file here, because I forgot to actually call the commit method. And so once we withdraw money, let's print that out in the console. And then account.commit, without passing any argument explicitly, because implicitly we are passing the object instance. Good. And we got an error there, invalid literal for integer with base 10. So this would be the integer in line 6 here. The value that is being read by this method is not converting to an integer. And the reason is that this value has disappeared from balance.txt, and this is reading an empty string. So this is an empty string that is being read from this file, and then you try to convert that and it doesn't work. Now the reason that we got this empty string, empty file here, is when we got the previous error. So here right argument must be string, not integer. So what Python did was it opened the file with the method, but then it wasn't able to actually write a value inside that file. So the file ended up empty. So let me write the initial value there, and then now we should be able to run that again. And yeah, now we have the updated value. So again, what we did is we created the object instance and then we put in the current balance, which was read from this file, which was 1000 at the beginning, and then we withdrew 1000, so the balance was updated, and then we commit those changes to this file, so we get 900 there. Now same thing, if you want to add, let's say 200 and deposit, let's see if this will work. Yeah, this was printed out. Let's check the file. Yeah, so this is our new balance. And yeah, I hope this clarifies a few concepts about object-oriented programming. If you are creative, you can go ahead and expand this script so you can add more methods there and maybe make this more of a real-life application. So great, and this is about this lecture, and in the next lecture I'll talk about inheritance, and we'll be expanding this script by applying inheritance in there. So talk to you in the next lecture.